Welcome back to the Ultimate Seattle Sports Show. Jaxon Smith-Njigba has become a star not only in Seattle but globally. And it all started with this man right here, Jaxon's dad, Maada, joining us on the show. Man, it is great to have you here. I appreciate you coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, this is going to be a lot of fun here. All right, you moved out to Seattle along with your oldest son, Kanan, to not only be near Jaxon, but to handle everything Monday through Saturday while Jaxon takes care of things on Sunday. That's pretty much the deal, and I love the way that you guys have come into town and just formed this group of, family business where you just take care of all the intangibles for him.
Absolutely.
Yeah, tell me a little bit about that, how important that is.
I mean, it's very important. I think that, anytime you're doing something like this, of this magnitude, that you have to have people around you that can handle things. I don't expect Jaxon to read 1,000 emails or, respond to everything or, go to the post office or any of that kind of, just those little things that we love him, we want him to do well, we need him to focus, the town needs him to be focused and to be able to do his job. So it's my pleasure, it's my honor, it's my duty to be able to help him in that way.
Yeah, it's also got to be fun, right, to be working alongside your sons?
Absolutely, it's very much fun. I have the pleasure of, Jaxon retiring and just kind of being by his side just to make sure that he's okay. So it's a lot of fun. And then, we're getting to know each other again. He grew up in my house and, pretty much, what he ate, drank, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So, now you lose that time when they go to college. And then now it's a time where we're kind of, he's 24 years old and I'm getting to experience him as a young man, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Well, he's coming off of an incredible offensive season. Led the NFL in receiving yards on his way to winning the Offensive Player of the Year. What's it been like watching his rise to meteoric fame?
Man, I just thank the Lord. I know that's a cliche thing, but. And a lot of people say that, but I thank the Lord because there's men out there trying to kill him on Sunday.
On Sundays, yeah.
Well, yes, on Sunday. On Sunday, there's
inside the lines.
Inside the lines, there's people out there that are trying to stop that, and it's tough. These are the best athletes in the world, and for him to be able to accomplish what he's accomplished on a level like this is truly amazing, and I'm truly thankful for his health, for his teammate, for the camaraderie, for Mike McDonald, for the GM. I'm just thankful for the Seattle community.
Yeah, great opportunity, but a great family. I'm sure they appreciate everything you guys bring to the table as well. It's pretty well known, Maada, that Jaxon, his older brother Kanan, you worked with them when they were basically toddlers, throwing them footballs, doing a lot of sports drills that you would put them through. Can you tell us a little bit back in the day of what you used to do when Jaxon was like this big?
Well, I would just, I was broke, okay? Let's just say that. And, I was just a single dad, and so we had to get outside. We had to play. I had to, expend that energy. And so we would do things. And somebody that was really close to me that I respect a lot said, hey, you got to get out there. You got to do activities with your kids. So I would just make them do drills that, that I used to do in college. And it worked. It turned out to be something.
You wore them out, too.
I wore them out. And the thing about that is, and so when they got on these teams, I'm like, man, these guys are kind of good.
Yeah.
Let's continue with that. But that was my goal. That was my mission, was to make sure that they're ready, to make sure that I had an interaction with them. Not just being dad around the house, telling them to sweep the floor or whatever, but actually going out and doing stuff, running routes, understanding angles and pursuit, just things like that.
Yeah, such a young age, too.
Yeah, well, then when Jaxon was in high school, his coach, Rodney Webb in Rockwell, just outside of Dallas, remembers Jaxon making circus-like catches, one-handed catches, but also remembers where he stepped on out of his shoe on a hitch route, caught the ball, turned upfield, picked up his shoe, ran another 5 yards. He made all these eye-popping plays, but he wasn't recruited locally. So what was the recruiting trail like, and how did he get to Ohio State?
It was tough. It's not what you think it would be, for a guy that played 6A football in the state of Texas. We're playing teams like Longview, Matthew Stafford's Highland Park, that caliber of football, in Jaxon achieving what you would think it'd be hard. You think Texas would come around.
Sure.
And those guys came around, but they came around late. We would try to get their attention, but I just think that the focus was just on others. And this is what I used to tell Jaxon. I said, be a Friday night guy. Don't be a social media guy. be about your business in between the lines, be about your business in the classroom, and something will come about. And I'll tell you what, in my opinion, the people at Ohio State, Mark Pantoni, Brian Hartline, Ryan Day, those guys evaluate football. They look at film. Okay, who is this guy? What is his character? Who is he playing? The competition level. Checked all the boxes. Let's go get that guy. So when Jaxon went up there, I was thinking, okay, that's cool, but we didn't really watch Ohio State football because we don't watch the Texas A&M lose LSU.
Yeah, you're in SEC territory there.
Right. Back then, Big 12.
Yeah.
Right.
So I was like, well, that's cool, but don't you want to go to Oklahoma and stuff like? He's like, no. He's like, listen, if I come here, I'll go to the NFL.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, son.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
But I also like that he took your other advice, though, like be there on Fridays, play on Fridays. Because I feel like that's exactly who Jaxon is today. He is a Sunday guy. Like, he's not getting messed around in the streets, like nothing like that. He is so focused, and that's really what's very admirable about him.
I'm very thankful that he's always been a low-key guy. His personality he's a great kid. He smiles a lot. He has a big heart, but he's very low-key. During the season, he's going to be resting. Because, listen, he plays wide receiver. They run a lot. Not quite as much as soccer players, but they do a lot of heavy lifting when it comes to running. So he doesn't have time to be in the in the streets and stuff like that.
It's like a greyhound out there. You just let them run. When they come back in, they nap.
And they nap. And, he has a great chef, so, there's food over there waiting for him. And he's resting his body. And he's doing that to help his team. He's doing that because he wants to win. One would say that because he's won Offensive Player of the Year or, Super Bowl, Jaxon is a team guy. If we can win, I always just tell him that all you have to do is just win, and then your accolades will come. But the most important thing is that the team is, because when the team loses, everybody's in a bad mood, and nobody really cares if, you got 200 yards and you lost the game. I'm still going to be upset. Because, we want to win the game. Right. So that's really where his mentality is.
Yeah, you talk about all the great intangibles there. All right, the college football landscape has changed so much over the years. You played your college ball at Stephen F. Austin. You could tell maybe by just looking at Maada that he is an athlete. What are your thoughts on the NIL deals and how they've changed the business of college sports?
I think everything is good in moderation. I think these athletes that when they come out of high school and go to college, they should be given something. They should, they should be paid. I think that there needs to be a ceiling on it, because if there's not, then I think the focus goes off of team achievement to financial growth. And when that happens, I just think that you lose a part of the game. I think, if these big programs that have big money that generate, big dollars, their athletes need to, because they put the time in. They put the time in, and that is a craft. Not everybody can do that. So they deserve something, but I feel like it needs to be capped off because it will ruin the game. Yeah. It really will.
Yeah, and speaking of getting rewards, you had a way of rewarding Jaxon for his production in high school. Yeah. What was that?
It was $1 a yard.
Okay.
Okay. Everything doubles in the fourth quarter. Right, and
I didn't know that doubling the money in the fourth
I'm doing
quarter.
the math right now about what his production was last year, especially in the fourth quarter, the second half, and I'm like, I know he just signed a massive contract, but I think he'd like that little bit of.
He's John Schneider. That's John Schneider's problem.
Yeah.
he can pay him,
but it worked for you, right?
Yeah. It worked for him because you're playing Highland Park. You're playing big time programs, and your team needs you, right? So if you're going to be out there and your sweat equity, let's pay for it. Yeah. Like if you're down and you're putting in the work and you lift your team up, and that's a great incentive.
Yeah.
So I was broke again.
No,
it's definitely the difference though about if you're about to maybe go down because if you could just keep going for another 5-10 yards, that's another $5-10 in your pocket. You're putting the Jets on.
Money's a good motivator for the young athletes. Jaxon's mom, Jamie, has been very involved in his life. They had a huge embrace at Lumen Field after the NFC Championship win. She has made it known, and this is really interesting, that she's very protective of her sons, even saying one time, I'm making a list of people who will never have an interview with Jaxon for his entire career. So she takes receipts. Tell us about the bond that she has with your sons.
She loves her kids. I mean, there's two people on this earth that she would absolutely die for, absolutely protect, go to jail for. She's the ultimate mother hen, and I respect her for it. You know, we had kids early, and it was a struggle, you know, and we did everything to make sure that they were successful with what we had. And I think that even if Jaxon wasn't who he is or Kanan wasn't who he is, she would still be that way. She's still very passionate. But now, you know, there's a lot of people coming at him.
I bet.
There's a lot of narratives being spun. There's a lot of new people coming into the mix, coming into the circle, and she's just not going to have it. And I respect her for it.
Yeah, I
really do.
Yeah.
Well, put in a good word for Paul and me so that we don't end up on that list, because that's a list that I do not want to be a part of. Right?
Yeah, exactly. She is something.
Yeah. Well, the Seahawks had a tremendous season last year, 14 wins, on their way to a second Super Bowl championship. What was that experience like for you and your family?
It's unreal. It was unreal. You know, Jaxon told me before the season, hey, we're going to win the Super Bowl. I was like, I don't know.
All right,
I'm like, I'm going to keep my money in my pocket. I ain't betting on that. But I think after that first loss with San Francisco, I was like, I thought they were capable. It was just here. I think what Mike McDonald did was made them mental giants. After the Washington game, I said, these guys are some young hot shots. I mean, if you look across the board at their ages and what they're doing, they are young and they are good. Now, after that Washington Commander game, I was like, these guys are ready.
Yeah, that was really impressive. I got to ask you, where were you on the Super Bowl parade day?
I was working.
Oh, is that right?
I was working, yes. I was working. I was a Bothell firefighter, so we were at EMT school. And they let me go to the Super Bowl. They were really good, but I had to go.
Come on. If they didn't let you go to the Super Bowl, man.
No,
At least the Super Bowl is,
City of Bothell, shout out, thank you for hiring me. Thank you for putting money in my pocket and believing in me. And but they were more than fair, but I had to go to work.
So that's why he's so built. He's a firefighter.
Yeah, that's part of it, that's for sure. Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't too long, though, after the parade that Jaxon signed a contract to make him the highest paid receiver in the NFL, $168 million, not from his allowance from you. What was your reaction, though, when Jaxon signed the deal?
Oh, man, I was, you got to give me a moment. I mean, that's a big number. That's a big deal. I just felt like you talk about the words like fruition, just coming into his life, manifesting. It was amazing, and I think it's well deserved. And I think that Jaxon, what he does with his body, you know, he has a chef. Shout out to Chef Casey. He has a 24-hour personal trainer. Shout out to Coach Jonathan Johnson. These are people that he had to have in his life to be where he's going to be. He actually met Coach Jonathan when he got hurt at Ohio State his junior year, and we had to go to Pensacola, and they formed a relationship. Pensacola to Andrews' facility.
Dr. Andrews?
Dr. Andrews, he has a facility, and they formed a bond. And he said, Dad, I want this guy with me throughout my career. And so they put in work. Jaxon doesn't cook, doesn't know how to cook. I don't know why, because he watched me cook a lot. But anyways,
that's another show.
He no longer has to.
I don't know why, but he has a great chef that takes care of his meals. So and I think he got that from like guys like LeBron James, that you have to take care of your body. Like I said, there's men wanting to kill him on Sundays within the lines, and so you have to stay ahead of the curve. So those are the things he does. So all that, I think he deserves it.
Yeah. It's important to take care of that body, and the amount of money that you bring up LeBron, the amount of money that guys like that, superstars like that, pay for not only trainers and chefs, but everything else in between to keep them in the physical shape that they're in. I mean, look, LeBron's 41 years old and still doing what he's doing. Jeez. So, all right, let's talk about just one more question about the contract, because that kind of wealth, it will be an incredible boost for the Smith-Njigba Family Foundation.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us a little bit about the mission?
The mission of the foundation is to, like Head Start. Our kids were involved in Head Start, which is a federal program. You know, when me and Jamie had kids, you know how daycare is very expensive.
Yeah.
And so these programs like Head Start are things that we want to be involved in and give money back to, so that people, can people who don't have the money to afford daycare can, benefit. We have a scholarship program, the best athlete in Rockwall County, which has grown. We do it annually, and we give money to that individual so that he can go on and pursue, his endeavors in life. So we're heavy into scholarships. We're heavy into like philanthropical, endeavors, just to help humanity, because we've been helped. We weren't rich, we weren't well-to-do. So if we can go back and help another person, that we will. Because my motto in life is others before self. And if you take that elevator to the top, make sure you press that, make sure that elevator goes back to the lobby to bring other people back with you.
Like that.
So, kind of in that same vein, we've been talking a lot this week about the sale of the team, the sale of the Seahawks, and that $9.6 billion is going to charities. And you're talking about how important it is for philanthropic work. I mean, how proud are you to be associated with a team that has that written in their mandate?
I think that the Seahawks are a first-class organization. They're the only organization, in football that I know, but it is well documented that they take care of that they are in the community. When we came here, they had classes set up for their athletes and their families for the adjustment period of finance, security, education, being in the community. Those are the hallmarks. Those are the pillars on which I feel like the Seattle Seahawks operate on. And I'm just so glad that, Jaxon's, a part of this. He's teamed up with Safeway and the Seattle Children's Hospital to feed hungry kids. I think because he's in an environment like the Seattle Seahawks, that pushes him further to be have a more humanitarian spirit.
It's great to see. It's great to see him be out in the community. I love the fact that the Family Foundation is doing so well. But I can't let you go without talking about your college football days. I mean, we might as well let him say something about his playing days, right? I mean, Maada Smith-Njigba, we were in the elevator talking about some of his accomplishments in college ball. Let's go, man. You had a pick six back in the day. I mean, tell us a little bit about your playing days at Stephen F. Austin.
I was fast. I could move.
Yeah?
I could move. I was good.
Is that where Jaxon gets his speed from?
Oh, yeah. Come on. I know. I have one son that's been in the show, MLB. I have one son that's, with the Seattle Seahawks. I don't like talking about myself a lot.
That's right. You're blushing right now.
He's like, I don't need to talk about myself because my kids are my resume.
Exactly.
He's like, I did everything. He's like,
all right, I'll say it for you, man. He had a pick six, and he had a fumble return for a touchdown as well. A couple of safeties he got during his senior year. This guy was an animal when he was playing college football at Stephen F. Austin. So I met Kanan too as well, and I like following his career as well because I was pulling for him as he was trying to make his way up there. He made his debut with the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Yes.
He's also a huge part of what you guys are doing. But Jaxon gets a lot of attention on this show. I believe Kanan is such a huge part. Jaxon speaks so highly of Kanan and you, of course, and his mom. But tell me a little bit about Kanan and what he's brought to the table.
Kanan's the chief.
Yeah,
that's what I call him. He is the chief. I mean, he's the brains. He's been there. He's went before Jaxon. He's preceded him because, being 18 years old, going to the minor leagues, going through that journey, achieving, being a businessman that he is, and having business not go his way. When you get cut or released, they say, hey, man, that's business. Going before Jaxon and experiencing that, he's not going to let anything happen to his brother. He's going to be there. He's going to be at the forefront. He is the chief. He's the brains. And I have a lot of respect for him.
Yeah. I was on the receiving end of his MLB prowess last year. I played in the Seattle's All-Star Classic. We talked about that earlier this week because it happened again this week. But your two sons were the captains of the two teams last year. I was on Jaxon's team, which sounds great in theory, but when you're taking on a Major League Baseball player on the other side, Kanan let us have it.
Yeah, Jaxon thinks he can play. He's like, I can do that. No, you can't. You can't do that. Like, you can't hit the fastball like Kanan. So, but it was a really fun event last year, and Kanan, he still has it.
Yeah,
he still has
very
it.
much so.
We hope.
Yeah, well, I think it's great that he's here. I know, like I said, Jaxon has said he's learned a lot from his older brother, certainly learned a lot from you and his mom, and this has just been an awesome visit, man. I was counting on this. I knew that when you came in here, this would be entertaining from all kinds of different levels of depth. And
I got more stories.
I know you do. I feel like this is part one of Maada Smith-Njigba.
I got more stories.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we look forward to having you back and chatting some more about it. So I just appreciate you coming on, and best of luck. Have fun with the new season.
Thank you. Can I shout out to my wife?
Of course you can.
To my wife who's watching. So.
All right.
What's your wife's name?
Nisi. Yeah, she picked out the whole thing. So.
There it is, man.
Anyway.
All right, we appreciate it, man. Great seeing you. Okay. All right, that's it for Maada Smith-Njigba.